Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Peluso and I'm here today to celebrate Lindsay Bernstorff, the beautiful bride. I am her cousin and I am also the maid of honor. And I just want to start today out by asking the groom Kyle if he really knows Lindsay. And I just want to remind Kyle that from the great show, The O.C., it is said, love is knowing all about someone and still wanting to be with them more than any other person. So I wanted to ask Kyle how well he really thinks he knows Lindsay and Lindsay's personality and all these weird things about Lindsay. And Kyle, I'm assuming you know her pretty well. After all, you did just get married to her today. But there is something you don't know about Lindsay, and that is that she might be the fastest runner I have ever met in my life. And the reason I know this is because when we were 14, or Lindsay was 14 and I was 13, we were at the beach in North Carolina. I had this horrible sunburn and it was all over my back and it was blistering all over. And I showed Lindsay and I said, Lindsay, my back hurts so bad, like I have this awful sunburn. And Lindsay was very sympathetic. She said, oh, Sarah, like that's okay, like we'll get some aloe on it later, don't worry. And so I was like, wow, Lindsay really cares about me and she's so nice. And so we kept talking, and then Lindsay, in the middle of me talking, just winds up and just 5-stars me right on my back where my blisters are and my sun poisoning is. And I was so mad. I turned to look at Lindsay, who was sitting right next to me, and I was ready to yell. And then before I could even turn my head, Lindsay was booking it halfway down the street. So I turned to run and I was like, I'm going to get Lindsay and I don't know what I'm going to do when I get to her, but I'm going to get her. And I just ran and ran, and Lindsay and I had been on runs before and never once had I ever seen her run so fast, so I was shocked. So Kyle, just so you know, if you ever, Lindsay and you ever get in a fight or she does something to annoy you, she will definitely be booking it and probably be in the next town over by the time you can even turn around. And so Lindsay, that was one of Lindsay's worst ideas ever, but there actually is one that's worse than that, and that was in Salt Fork, Ohio. Our families went on another vacation, and we rented these cute cabins, and it was on this frozen lake in the middle of winter, and at this point we were, I wanted to say, around 10, and as most 10-year-olds, when parents tell you something, you don't always listen, although I was a very, very good 10-year-old. I did listen. And Lindsay, we were told by our parents, don't go near the lake, it's frozen, you could fall in, and Lindsay was like, yeah, that's great. And so your wife proceeded to tell me as we walked out of that meeting and said, Sarah, come on, let's go touch the lake. And so I said, no, Lindsay, let's not, that's not a good idea. And the next thing you knew it, I'm in the lake because Lindsay told me I had to step down and crack it with my foot, and when I went to do that, I just fell right in, and luckily it was up to about here on my body, so I was good to go. But I came out of the lake very cold and very upset with Lindsay. So again, your fiance just encourages the best ideas. And Kyle, you might not have heard this story, but Lindsay's sense of direction, if you should get anything from this story, it's that Lindsay's sense of direction is pretty awful. And the reason I know this is because we went to North Carolina again, although this time I don't even want to admit this, that Lindsay was 20 and I was around 19, or Lindsay was 21 and I was 20, and we went kayaking with Lindsay's mom, Laura. And so Aunt Laura and my cousin Johnny, Lindsay's little brother, were kayaking in the bay, and it was beautiful, and Aunt Laura and Johnny took a turn into one of the coves, and they said this is the way to get to the house. And so Lindsay and I were going, and then Lindsay says, oh, Sarah, that's definitely not the way. I know the way. So we backed out of the cove, then we kayaked down, we went into a cove, wrong cove, it just, all of a sudden the water's just gone. Then we kayaked back out, and this goes on for about 2 hours, and then we can't figure out which cove was the original one, and so we had to spend the next 5 hours kayaking up and down the bay, and we asked someone for help and if they would tow us because we were so tired and sunburned, and the man said no, go figure. And then we took turns counting in Spanish to 100 because we thought that would be the best way to have time go by. And finally, when we got out, we jumped out of the kayak, and my Aunt Laura was there crying, and she had called the Coast Guard because they thought we were lost at sea. And so needless to say, Lindsay's direction is absolutely horrible. So Kyle, if you didn't get anything out of this, it's that Lindsay has awful direction. She encourages bad ideas, but she's really fast. But there's something else I want you to get from the speech, and that is that you are marrying the most wonderful person I've ever met and my best friend. And I just want to bless your marriage, and I want to pray for your marriage, and just let you guys know that if you keep God at the center of it, that even though times are hard and it will be difficult at times, that you will always prosper and you will make it through. And I just want to leave you with this last quote from Dr. John Piper, and it's about marriage. The quote says, "Marriage is not mainly about prospering economically. It is mainly about displaying the covenant-keeping love between Christ and his church. Knowing Christ is more important than making a living. Treasuring Christ is more important than bearing children. Being united to Christ by faith is a greater source of material success than perfect sex and double income prosperity. So it is with marriage. It is with momentary gift. It may last a lifetime, or it may be snatched away on the honeymoon. Either way, it is short. It may have many bright days, or it may be covered with clouds. If we make secondary things primary, we will be embittered at the sorrows we must face. But if we set our face to make of marriage mainly what God has designed it to be, no sorrows and no calamities can stand in our way. Every one of them will be not an obstacle to success, but a way to succeed. The beauty of the covenant-keeping love between Christ and his church shines brightest when nothing but Christ can sustain it." So Kyle and Lindsay, I just want to congratulate you both on this exciting day, and I just can't wait to see where your marriage takes you. Thank you.